Welcome to Ball Talk Deep, where we talk deep about ball. You got your host Andrade and Irwin back at it again. Drop a like and a sub before we get into it. It goes a long way, guys. And today we're gonna talk about
the culture,
the Miami Heat. I mean, lately, I'm sure you guys have seen it. The Miami Heat have been brought up a lot because obviously they made it into the NBA Finals, surprising 99% of the NBA population.
You tell the truth, 100%.
Yeah, basically. And, the Heat weren't talked about a lot this whole season. In the beginning, they had a little eruption. Like, they were brought up a little because of that surprising start that they had. And people were like, oh, what's their ceiling?
That's cute.
Yeah. And remember, in November, I said I did call them making the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep, we did, yeah.
But
Well, you did, yeah.
even then, I couldn't at the time picture them making it to the final. I thought it was possible, but I couldn't put my word on it.
Even the Heat themselves, like if you ask them real talk, they would not expect, them to.
Well, shit. If you ask Jimmy, he's not gonna say that.
No, okay. Like if you ask Pat Riley, if you ask Jimmy Butler, they will probably tell you like, okay, if we get the right breaks, the right matchups, I could see us, if best case scenario that we will make the finals.
Maybe.
However, if you're expecting them to say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make the finals," like for sure, like compared to the Heroes era,
that's a whole different ballgame. Yeah, and don't forget that the first couple of months of the Heat is a almost completely different Heat team as the second half because they had that big trade that's Pat has proven worked out in this postseason.
But they also got a big break this year in the sense is, before
the bubble?
Before COVID hit, yes, the bubble, but before COVID hits, the Heat were a team that was had a lot of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Herro was injured. Iggy was still, getting used to, he hasn't played since February. Miles Leonard was injured.
Yeah.
They had a lot of nagging injuries. Jimmy Butler has some nagging injuries in general.
Which a lot of other teams also benefited from that too.
It does, and they also had the bubble, which pretty much takes home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The other teams, it makes it neutral, which it plays.
Helps a lot with young players.
That too, yes. And also the Heat are already that type of team that is already built for that.
Yes.
But what I do want to ask you is, okay, they're in the NBA Finals right now.
First time since 2014, baby.
2014. That was ever since, good times, the Heatles era. And more importantly,
this one feels just as good too, bro.
I think it feels.
I'll tell you that right now. Maybe even better.
I think it feels even better because number one, they were not expecting it to happen.
Yes.
And number two, usually teams, well, it's only happened twice. The teams that LeBron leaves become a fucking shit show, a dumpster fire. I'm looking at you, Cleveland, and you guys don't got any sunshine weather during winter, so shit. I don't know what to tell you guys, but what I do want to ask, and I think what the BTD community wants to know as well, is your take is, how did the Heat get here? Like to the finals. How did they get here? What is it about them that was able to get them to this point?
What got them to this point?
Exactly. Yes.
All right. It's going to be a soliloquy, guys. I hope you guys are strapping your phone or your iPad, your laptop, set it down, and get ready for a few minutes.
Shit, man. He brought up
I'm going to go on like a Colin Coward
Stephen A. Smith
take.
thesaurus.
Yeah.
Right
Soliloquy.
Soliloquy. You can just put that soliloquy.
Dictionary.com. But all right, look. Did the Heat have the best record in the East?
No.
Were the Heat the most talented team in the East?
By far, no.
Have the Miami Heat made it to the NBA Finals?
Yes, in the past they have.
What do you mean about right now?
Oh yeah, right now, of course, yeah.
Can they beat the Lakers in the NBA Finals? Yes, they can.
They could. It won't be easy, but maybe.
Look,
probably not, but we'll see.
Wow, now I know where your pick is gonna be. Look,
hey, I gotta separate emotions from logic.
How'd that work out with you with the Celtics Heat?
I'm glad I was wrong. I am glad I was wrong.
But check it. The Miami Heat have made it this far into the NBA Finals because of 5 fundamental factors, guys. And this is, every organization can copy this. It starts with culture, which is what's been going around a lot. It's culture, chemistry, experience, player development, all tied into one unified vision. We'll start with the Heat culture, which is like everyone's favorite phrase right now in the NBA world. I've seen countless of YouTube channels, NBA vets, analysis talking about the culture of the Heat and how it's the biggest reason or a big reason why they're in this.
Like the new flavor of the month.
Yeah, and they're right. And many Heat fans would say themselves that they had bought into this culture years ago and believed that's what would bring us back into the promised land, and it did. But one thing that a lot of people fail to mention and aren't talking about is how long it took the Heat to establish this winning culture. Because now they're talking about it like, oh, your organization can copy and paste what the Heat have done, which you can copy and paste those 5 fundamentals, but patience is going to be a huge factor in it.
And that everybody can execute it the same fashion.
Exactly. That Heat culture, it started before the Heatos.
Oh, yeah, way before.
Before Wade and Shaq won in 06. It started way back in the 90s, specifically 95, with Alonzo Mourning and the past Heat coach, Pat Riley. So, think about it. It took a whole decade establishing that culture before they cracked into the finals. And thanks to the heroics of Dwayne Wade, who did one of the best NBA Finals performances of all time, the Heat got their first championship.
Lay out that foundation.
Exactly.
That championship pedigree foundation.
Now, setting a culture for an organization ties into everything else I mentioned. Chemistry, experience, focus, and unity. Chemistry between this current Heat squad is strong because when the Heat build their teams, they have a structure of certain rules that they ask players before wanting to join in. I've heard that they ask players how bad do they want to win, and if winning isn't a top priority over their personal selves and careers, then you know what? It's better off that you can't join this team. And that all starts with the culture, and then that continues into developing the chemistry because everyone, staff, executives, and players are on the same page. And then you can focus on how the talents of those players fit together on court, but having everyone on the same page is a strong start. You know what I mean?
That definitely helps.
And then we move to experience. Out of the 13 Heat players used so far in these playoffs, 5 are 25 and below, and 8 are over 25. So more than half of the Heat players that have been used so far in the playoffs are over 25. Iggy, Drajic, Butler, Crowder, Olynyk, Hill, and Leonard all have a good amount of years under their belt in the league.
They've had their battles already.
Exactly. And this Heat squad has a fine balance of young and vet players.
Yep.
And that's another thing, balance. This Heat, or the Heat organization as a whole, very well balanced. Yes, they have a winning culture, but you can see with the Heatos, with that viral clip. Remember when they did, what was that thing? The Terrorista. Oh, the Harlem Shake.
Yeah, the Harlem Shake. Yeah.
And that was when they were on that 27
on that peak
win streak. So the Heat, even though they have this winning and very strict set of cultures, they understand balance is key, and having fun is a part of it. And having fun is a part of winning too. Like, you want to enjoy the ride.
Winning is fun.
And if you look at former Heat champions, they have always welcomed vets into teams to win as long as they were about winning and making sacrifices. And you can look at 06. 06 had so many vets that got their first chip because of Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley doing that 15 strong. Mourning, Peyton, Will, Antoine Walker, like, James man, I was trying to remember that. Like, there you go. And then in the Heatos, we had LeBron, Wade, Bosh. They were vets, but they were still youngish vets. LeBron was like 26 when he came here. And then he got surrounded himself with Miller, Allen, Battier, like Ray Allen, like Birdman. Balance. Now with this squad, what about the other players who are younger and don't have much experience in the NBA, like Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, and Duncan Robinson? Miami has a respected, sometimes publicly praised player development program. And they know that, all right, if you don't have as much experience in the league or any experience in the league, we're going to build a good to great, well, they have a great now, player development program. And they get these players out of the mud and they shine them up to be diamonds.
But you know what? These people already have the intangibles. A lot of people were sleeping.
Well, that ties in with the culture.
on Bam. They were sleeping on Bam when he got picked on 14. And quite honestly, when I saw that, in the draft, number 14, Bam Adebayo, I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Oh, same.
But the Heat, based on like what we were saying as well, the intangibles. Same thing with Tyler Herro. That definitely ties into what we were saying as well.
Yeah, and for me, I would bring my two examples were Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Both are well. Duncan, I think this is his second year technically in the league. Nunn is a rookie, and then Tyler is a rookie. But Nunn and Duncan came out of that player development program. Like, especially Duncan. Duncan was in the G League for a minute with the Heat.
Yeah, last year he was a two-way player, and Kendrick Nunn, I believe he was a two-way player last year with Golden State before he got let go, and the Heat signed him. And this just speaks to the front office, to Andy Ellsberg as well. They did such a shrewd signing with Kendrick Nunn. I know he's not playing so much right now in the playoffs, but he helped out quite a bit in the regular season. Signing him on the last day of the regular season last year.
Yeah, crazy. During Wade's last game.
Yeah.
And so you brought it up. The Heat organization focuses on finding players that have that winner's mindset, aka fit into the Heat culture, along with untapped potential and talent, which is obvious. You need talent. And then they turn them into viable NBA players. Because personally, I don't believe Herro, Bam, Duncan, and you can even throw Nunn in there based off his regular season performance.
Derrick Jones Jr. too.
I don't think they would be at their current peak in their age with the experience that they have and the amount of time that they've had in the league if they were in most other organizations.
Oh, bro, you put that in the Knicks or the Timberwolves or
even Sixers. So I don't think they would be at the point that they're at right now.
That's what separates a great organization and a shitty, bad organization. You saw what happened with the Sixers with Sam Hinkie. They did the tear down process. A lot of organizations do that tear out process, and they're not able to get out of that that funk or that hump
because they've established a losing culture.
Exactly.
But you have just perfectly transitioned to my last point. Lastly is unity and vision. Having one unified vision in anything is the path to success. A team or unit in any industry, field, you pick it, whatever, tech, engineering, business, they have to agree on one direction to achieve their goals.
Win that championship, yes sir.
And that is ultimately what the Heat culture is about and what they tried to establish and successfully did. Spoelstra is an A1 coach, and this season, clearer than ever, we saw how he utilizes his players in different ways with various strategies in the regular season and postseason, and isn't afraid to switch it up depending on the opponent they face in the series. Now, in many, if not most organizations, that method could or would cause a team to implode because players would feel some type of way, complaining, egos, etc. But by the Heat getting players who have winning on their mindset and are on the same page, then that method of coaching, which logically makes the most sense because it's a chess match, especially in the playoffs, it switches up every team. Now you get to focus on one particular team. That method of coaching succeeds, and the proof is in this Heat team and other past winners, like other previous winning championship teams.
Definitely.
Perfect examples are Goran Drajic wasn't a starter in the regular season, allowing Nunn and Herro to get more minutes to develop. Myers Leonard got plenty of time in the regular season, and in the postseason, he's only played one game for 9 minutes.
Garbage time.
And yet he's one of the team's biggest cheerleaders and supporter because he gets it. We're doing this to win. And if my team wins, I win. That's probably his perspective.
Not everybody has that. Like a Whiteside.
Exactly. And that's a big reason why I really like Myers Leonard on the Heat. I know he's not the best big man in the league, but man, if you follow the guy, he cheers like he is about to. And other Kendrick, like anyone who's not getting these minutes, they're still on the sidelines, still on social media, still pushing. We have not heard no rumors, no leaks about any complaints, no bitching, no nada. So all this can be simplified to what I said earlier. Establish a winner's culture, focus on team chemistry, rely on player experience, and create a strong player development program, all under one vision, working united in one direction towards the same goal. It takes time, but once it's established and maintained, the chips start coming in.
Oh man, this is just the beginning, man. I'm like, nobody was expecting this, but all eyes are on the Heat right now. already. Like maybe not for free agency because free agency the class is not so well. Who knows? Maybe if the Heat beat the Lakers, then shit, AD might change his mind and shit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are just gonna start copying this Heat blueprint, which isn't necessarily a Heat. It's just a winning blueprint in general.
They just know how to execute.
But they're the best example right now in the current NBA world.
I'll say them and the Spurs historically.
Yes.
Historically.
That's what the Spurs were in that spotlight of this
because
10 years ago.
Because normally the nickname that you would give to the Heat back then where they were the Spurs of the Eastern Conference. For the type of culture that they have. Because Miami is not New York. Miami is not California, LA, like huge markets. We're a medium market.
We're a medium market.
The Spurs, I'll say, they're a small market team. However, they always find a way, to stay competitive. The Heat, what make it very interesting with them is these players that they got to contribute, either they were undrafted or they were low lottery picks. These guys were not number one picks in the Heat.
Manu Ginobili for Spurs.
Yeah. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. For the Spurs, they found out hidden gems like Bruce Bowen, to give you as an example. They were able to get Danny Green when he was a sharpshooter, and this guy
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, he was
the craziest example.
Like,
they fucked that up, and right now the Spurs aren't the best shining example, but they've proven it.
But they're in a transition period. The Spurs, just like the Heat were in a transition period after LeBron left.
Yeah,
because
no facts, and Kawhi only left like 2 years ago, I believe.
Because what you gotta take into consideration is if you look a couple years back.
It takes time.
No, not only that. A couple years back, the Heat, they were like a team that nobody wants to be. Be of. They were cap hell. They were full of players.
I want to do a whole other video on that topic too, because that whole theory of LeBron leaves a team and it's trash with the Heat, it doesn't necessarily apply because of several reasons. And I want to bring that up in another video.
Well, okay, yeah, because the Cavaliers, they were never a good organization to begin with. Yeah. The only reason,
no, it's not even all that. We'll talk about it later. But I do want to point out what you said about the Spurs. The Heat are basically, I wouldn't say, they're like the successor to the Spurs in a sense. Like, they're obviously a little more gritty, especially when you compare it to the mid-late 90s Heat. Heat have always been more, not just flair, but gritty. Like, it's that South Florida grit, roughness. Like, that's just how we're raised. And Miami-Dade Goons. But just like this, like how we've established a certain culture in the Heat, how the Heat have established a certain culture in the organization, there is also rumors that when Pat retires, that he'll pull a pop, and they want the Heat to pull a pop, and Erik Spoelstra be the head coach and president, just like Pop is for the Spurs and has been for many years. So that would be interesting. At that point, it's like the Spurs almost, which is funny. We had a rivalry in the mid 2010s. We kicked their ass. They kicked our ass. And it's like, I guess when they kicked our ass, they were like, okay, then we just kind of, all right, you guys got that one last chip, but now we're going to carry the torch that you guys once had. And and now I'm just excited to see how many more organizations continue trying something like this.
We'll see what happens, man. Yeah. We got the finals coming up, guys.
One thing that this Heat team, what I do see a lot being talked about too now, though, is that whole trust the process bullshit and tanking is getting talked down a lot because of the negative culture it establishes in the organization. And now a lot of, especially how you saw how the 76ers worked out with Fultz, Jokic, Embiid, Simmons. Like, now everybody's looking like, you know what? Maybe the Heat way is it. Like, you just, even if you're in the middle, you establish that culture first, develop your players, and then figure shit out from there.
Yeah, it's no good, picking so high if you can't develop your players. You feel me? It doesn't make it.
And it's not just about, I'll tie that in with the culture and chemistry. Like, yes, you can, the Sixers, I'm so down to do a whole video on that. But just getting the best talent doesn't really matter. And we've seen this before with like the 04 Lakers. The 11 Heat, the 14 Heat. You can get the best players, but if that chemistry isn't there, like, it implodes. The 2020 Clippers, there you go. That's the best example right now.
Yeah, 2020 Clippers with Pandemic P, Lou Williams.
Nobody was on the same page with that. Well, not everybody was on. Everybody wasn't on the same page with that team.
You know what resulted with that? Doc Rivers got fired. But guys, hey, look, we appreciate all the new viewers, all the new subscribers we've been getting. Like Andrade said from the beginning, drop a like, drop a comment. Tell us your thoughts, whether you're a Heat fan or not, of the Heat culture.
Yeah, what do you guys think of it? And would you guys want something similar in your teams to establish a certain culture like that? Or what culture would you guys want to see your team establish? Because the culture also varies in terms of like the theme of the culture depending on the city. Because every city has their own character and like, form of being. And yeah, let us know. And don't forget to check us out on
TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Insta, Twitter,
all that good stuff.
I love how you name all the fake ones first and then
Snapchat.
the two that were on the strongest.
Yeah, send us a snap, send us some streaks. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for now. We'll catch you guys soon.
Take care.